The cockpit lights flickered like dying stars. Captain Marcus "Shadow" Reeves jolted awake, heart slamming against his ribs, the roar of engines replaced by a sickening whine. 1 second he'd been dreaming of his daughter's 8th grade graduation, her gap-toothed grin under the gym lights. Next second the yoke was limp in his hands and the altimeter spun downward like a roulette wheel gone mad. "Mayday, Mayday, this is Delta 142 Heavy, we've lost both engines over the Atlantic." The co-pilot's voice cracked. Lieutenant Sarah Kim, 29, first officer on her first transatlantic command, stared at gauges bleeding red. The cabin behind them erupted, screams, oxygen masks dangling like white jellyfish, a baby's wail slicing through it all. Marcus blinked hard. His last memory, handing the controls to Sarah for a routine rest period, whispering, "You've got this, kid," before the autopilot hummed him into sleep. Now the plane, 300 souls, including his own, was a stone falling from 40,000 feet. Fuel starvation, Sarah choked. Both engines flamed out. APUs dead. Hydraulics failing. Marcus's fingers found the restart switches. Nothing. The Airbus A330 was a glider, and the ocean below was black glass waiting to swallow them. He keyed the intercom, voice steady the way his daddy taught him on dusty Texas airstrips. "Folks, this is your captain. We're working the problem. Stay calm, stay seated, hold somebody's hand if you need to." A lie wrapped in velvet. They had maybe 12 minutes before impact. Marcus's mind raced through the QRH, quick reference handbook, pages flipping in his head like a deck of cards. Bird strike? No flock at FL 390. Contaminated fuel? Impossible, they'd tanked in Dublin under his own eyes. Then he saw it, the fuel crossfeed valve light, dark when it should have glowed. Someone, something, had closed the valve in flight. Sabotage? Mechanical ghost? No time. Sarah, manual crossfeed. Override the valve. Her hands shook so badly she missed the switch twice. Marcus reached across, covered her fingers with his. "Breathe with me. In 4, hold 4, out 4. A trick from his own first solo, when panic had tasted like copper. The valve clacked open. Fuel flowed. Engine 1 coughed, caught, roared. Engine 2 followed like an obedient brother. The plane leveled at 8,000 feet, the altimeter finally slowing its death spiral. Cheers exploded behind the cockpit door. Marcus didn't smile. Not yet. He turned to Sarah. "You kept us alive long enough for me to wake up. That's not nothing." Tears streaked her cheeks. "I thought I killed them all." "You thought wrong. But the crisis wasn't over." The gear wouldn't lower, hydraulics shot. They were 180 miles from Gander, Newfoundland, the closest runway. Fuel was critically low, the crossfeed fix had burned precious minutes. Marcus calculated, declare minimum fuel, request priority, pray for a miracle. Air traffic control came alive with a voice Marcus knew, Colonel Danielle "Hawk" Hayes, his old squadron mate from Kandahar, now a senior controller in Moncton Center. "Shadow, you old dog, I've got you on scope. Runway 23 is yours. Winds calm. Fire truck standing by. Bring her home. Copy, Hawk. Tell the fire boys to save me a beer." The cabin grew quiet as passengers realized the danger wasn't past. A teenage boy in 12A clutched a worn photo of his grandmother. A bride in 22C whispered her vows to the stranger beside her. Marcus heard every prayer through the bulkhead. Sarah's voice trembled over the PA, "We're going to attempt a belly landing. Cabin crew, brace positions." Marcus glanced at her. "You ever land on your gut in a simulator?" "Once." "Crashed." "Good. Muscle memory." Gander's lights appeared, a constellation on the rugged coast. Marcus eased the throttles, flaps sluggish but responding. The runway stretched 11,000 feet of salvation. He killed the engines at the last second, the silence deafening. The belly kissed asphalt. Sparks showered like the 4th of July. The plane screamed, metal tearing, but held the centerline. Reverse thrust was gone, they'd ride the brakes. Smoke poured into the cabin. Evacuate. Evacuate. Slides deployed. Passengers poured out, some barefoot, some cradling children. Marcus was last off, carrying a wheelchair-bound veteran who'd refused to leave without his service dog. On the tarmac, under floodlights and freezing mist, Marcus found Sarah sitting on the grass, knees to chest, staring at the scarred fuselage. "Hey, Lieutenant." He offered a hand. "You just logged the toughest landing in Airbus history. Drinks on me." She laughed through sobs. "I thought I'd never see my mom again." Marcus pulled her up. "Call her. Tell her you're a hero." Cameras flashed. Reporters shouted. Marcus ignored them, scanning faces until he found a little girl in a pink hoodie, his daughter, Maya, who'd been on a school trip to Ireland and begged to fly home with Dad. She ran to him, arms wide. "Daddy, you promised you'd come back." He knelt, held her so tight he felt her heartbeat. "Always, baby girl. Always." Later, investigators pieced it together. A microscopic crack in the fuel valve actuator, undetected in pre-flight, had allowed the valve to drift closed under vibration. A 1 in a million failure. Marcus's nap, mandated by FAA rest rules, had saved them. Had he been awake, fatigue might have clouded the diagnosis. The NTSB called it the miracle over the Atlantic. Marcus called it Tuesday. But the story didn't end on the runway. 3 months later, Sarah stood in the same Texas hangar where Marcus had first soloed 30 years earlier. The Air Force had loaned them a T-6 for the ceremony. Maya, now taller, held a velvet box. Marcus pinned captain's bars on Sarah's uniform. "You earned these the night you didn't give up." She saluted, eyes shining. "Sir, request permission to buy you that beer." "Permission granted, Captain Kim." The crowd, fellow pilots, passengers from Flight 142, the veteran and his dog, cheered under a sunset the color of afterburners. Marcus took the mic. "Every one of you up there that night thought you were gonna die. But you held somebody's hand. You prayed. You trusted 2 strangers in the cockpit. That's the real miracle. Not the engines restarting. Not the landing. You." He looked straight into the camera drone hovering above. If this story moved you, hit that like button. Subscribe. Share it with someone who needs to remember, courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision that something matters more than fear. See you in the skies. The screen faded to black. End card. Like if you believe in second chances, ***. Subscribe for more stories of ordinary people doing impossible things, ***. Comment below, who's your hero, ***. And somewhere over the Atlantic, another plane flew straight and true, its captain wide awake, smiling at the stars.